confirmed the hypothesis set in this study that hybridizing learning and assessment is not a threat to students' retention and achievement. Results have even confirmed that beginner students are the most ones who have not been affected by the change in mode. It has also been found that 1/3 of the target population have witnessed an increase in scores during the pandemic in comparison to the pre-COVID-19 year. This study is important for it revealed, investigating scores of thousands of students, that hybrid learning does not have negative impact on students' academic success. As a result, it seems crucial for hybrid learning to be fostered in educational settings, and the required infrastructure and equipment to be available as well. It is crucial to continue reviewing and doing research pertaining to the effects of hybrid learning on academic attainment, especially with the variety of tools available and expected to appear in the near future as well, technological tools. These research projects are highly encouraging and provide insight into how hybrid learning might be implemented in the future. However, formulating a well-organized hybrid learning session is not simple. Instructors are urged to consider that and restructure courses to provide more opportunities for learning. To achieve a successful outcome with hybrid learning, the instructor needs to rehearse how to teach utilizing hybrid learning in classroom. Using hybrid learning as an instructional model will necessitate significant amount of work on the part of the instructors in order to reap the greatest benefits. Thank you very much. And now I would like to leave the floor to my colleague, my friend and colleague, Dr. Hassen Rabhi from the University of Gafsa. His presentation is entitled Hybridity and Digital Religion, a Laturian Reading. The floor is yours for 15 minutes, Hassen.
Thank you, Dr. Mimoun. Well, in fact, from the digital realm, from the educational realm to the cyberspace. Specifically, I am here today to read cyberspaces and cyber Islamic environments through the lens of the theory of the hybrid. I am triggered by the question, or my presentation seeks to trace the way digital practices in general and online fatawa or online fatwas in particular, propelled by new media. I mean, we are going to explore together the way they are constructed in a cyber space. The basic assumption of the presentation is based on the premise that these emergent practices, I mean online fatwas, are constructed, negotiated, performed, and reproduced by dynamics of mixture and hybridity. So, the basic claim is that online fatwas or online fatwas are the end product of a hybrid actor networks as they constantly reproduce themselves by a dynamics of mixture. In fact, given the context of globalization and digitization, it should be noted that the theory of hybridity enjoys much prominence, as it offers an alternative mode of thinking to that of modernity. That is the core of a postmodern thinking, and it is frequently used as an explanatory framework in the terminology of Camilleri and Capselli 2020 for the decentralization of religious content character authority, and is now crucial in the fragmentation of religious discourse and the performances of religious online. Of particular interest to this presentation is online fatwa, an answer to real or hypothetical questions which reflect the beliefs of the producer of the fatwa based on his own judgment and interpretation of religious literature in the terminology of Caesar 2007. So, online fatwa is in fact a set of rulings and opinions about issues ranging from domestic affairs toward politics performed through what bent in his book Islam in the Digital Age, published in 2003, called Cyber Islamic Environments. So here, I mean, the basic these environments are very often referred to in the literature as hybrid spaces or hybrid platforms for the renewal, the expression, the discussion of religious ideas, as well as the creation of new forms of identity and the discussion of e-jihad or the issuing of online fatwas. So the variety of these cyber environments raises two major concerns relevant to the present presentation. First of all, there is the possibility of power struggle between multiple sources, their hybridity of authority, and we have also these cyber Islamic environments are being shaped in the way they are created and constructed by various schools of jurisprudence, social movements, and national views. As there are environments or spaces that are clearly or that clearly represent the state-approved version of Islam, others are complicated transnational projects, some others are supported by official muftis such as Islam Online, and others are supported by the European Commission for Fatwas and Researches, and other websites are supported by the official fatwa issuing committees of Islamic countries, which is affiliated by and with the Permanent Committee for Islamic Research and Fatwa of Saudi Arabia. You see that this interconnectedness and the multiplicity of supporters, actors, this is probably what supports the claim or what justifies the claim that online fatwa is an end product of a variety of factors or a hybrid actor networks, and this is again what justifies the claim that the theory of hybridity is well justified in the present presentation. Well, the term, in fact, the history of the term hybridity shows that it was used in various disciplines. However, it offers little uptake of its core concepts in the digital realm, digital Islam, and this is unfortunate, in fact, given its capacity to trace materializing processes that mediate cyber-religious practices. Therefore, the theoretical framework opted for in my presentation is the theory of hybridity and mainly electoral reading, because hybridity stresses irreducibilities of difference and diversity as an alternative to traditional ideas of individuality and totality. So, Latour introduces explicitly this term, a hybrid, in his book entitled We Have Never Been Modern, published in 1991, and he uses the concept of hybrids to elaborate on his thesis that modern societies, by drawing distinctions between culture and nature, paradoxically producing a multiplying mixtures or hybrids, things that are part of both, nature and culture, or subject and object. So, in a similar vein, in his book, Pandora's Hope, he says on the realities of science studies that was published in 1999, Latour argues that there is no such thing as separation between nature and society or subject and object, but rather a strong potential of hybridization. Yeah, again, the popularity of new media contributes to the fact that the separation between subject and object cannot be sustained. In this context, Latour holds the view that modern societies should be seen as connected, translated, and exchanged elements that are forming a social network that constantly reproduces itself by dynamics of mixture. He firmly asserts that we live in a hybrid world made up at once of gods, people, stars, electrons, nuclear plants, and markets. The theory of the hybrid, or the theory of hybridity, allows us then to go beyond the dualism between the subject and object and describe the entities that are not sanctioned into subject and object, but are incorporated into a process of translation, a step that follows a process of purification, which is the separation into subject and object. Hybrids then emerge in a following step called translation. In another word, as a third space in which the synthesis of scientific knowledge and cultural knowledge is unfolded. A similar explanation of the hybrid or the hybrids and their embeddedness in the network can be found in the work of Deleuze and Guattari, who explored the concept of the network and hybrids by using the metaphor of the rising. So, according to the authors, rising is described as being a system of roots which do not possess one main root, as it would be the case for the mycelium of mushrooms. Rather, it consists of agglomerations of horizontally growing threads which form aerial shoots in each growth phase. So this metaphor exemplifies the principle of a decentralized growth and the absence of individualized units. So consequently, the hybrid can be described as an overlapping system of multiple actors that do not operate according or in a dichotomous way. So different actors enter into mutual relations, and these relations are not limited to one of the both spheres. On the any actant of the hybrid can be connected with any other actant of it. And additionally, this chain of associations is hardly defined by a beginning or a precise end. Hybrids are, as understood by Latour, are part of the network which is constituted by static entities and at the same time give rise to a heterogeneous structure of connections which cannot be traced back to a source but must be understood in its multiplicities. So, in Latour's view, entities and their existence depend on their relationship to each other, even if they possess features that belong to the actors itself. So, an entity is only meaningful by its numerous changing connections with other entities. Applied to the cyber Islamic environments in the terminologies of Bent and exploring the way, online fatwas are constructed, we rely on content analysis informed by the principles of actor network theory. And as you note, this is a case of an online fatwa ruling regarding acts of jihad by means of suicide. So as you see in these two screenshots here, we have this is a product, an end product, but what you see here, it's a fatwa, but in fact it is a result or an achievement of a gathering of entities and actors that are dispersed in time and in place. So if you focus on the design of the web or the cyberspace, you are going to see that there are a set of functionalities such as the posting functionalities as revealed by the content of the ruling here. We have the tags, we have the links, and as you see, we have the sharing functionalities. And in fact, if you go over, these functionalities, you are going to see that distant localities, distant local interactions are translated, right? Are translated on these websites. And as you see, the medium here is this material and technological objects. So this is, as you see, this is the first case or first fatwa taken from Fatwa Online, which is an English language website registered in Saudi Arabia and is closely connected with a range of explicitly Salafi websites and is concerned about the jihad by means of suicide issued by Mufti and published by an admin of the website. In line with Latour's theory of the hybrid, this ruling is the property of a hybrid actor network. Part of the network is non-human and part is human. As soon as the material and the technical entities are enacted, a set of connections pops up. This is due to the translated presence of dispersed localities, sites into other ones. And this process of translation, the step following purification in the terminology of Latour is never clear then in the role of the material objects, mainly in the set of functionalities enacted and afforded by the cyber environment through which the fatwa is performed. So the post-in functionality transported distant local interactions mediated by reports and sayings from al-Bukhari and Muslim, from Hadith and Sunnah, and from the Holy Quran. This reveals that others' actions mediate the promotion of the ruling, hence an interactivity is intended not only between the producers of the fatwa and the consumers, but also between different media made visible by the sharing functionality. Fatwa then is that this hybrid product is made by hybrid agents acting at a distance and dispersed in time and place through the mediations of texts, quotes, links, tags. Consequently, the website and its affordances tied social entities in a religious way to market the counter-terror fatwa. So shall I proceed? So I conclude. So, as you see, this is this case study, and as you see, we have a detailed analysis of a sample of fatwas from different websites. Shows that this hybrid product is an achievement of a hybridity that includes the technical, the religious, the social, the scientific, for all the sake of fatwa shopping. Online fatwas are then the product of neither the subject producing them nor the object in use. They are rather the property of an assemblage of ties. To grasp the way they are created, there is a need to multiply the associations, and of course, such a labor requires the recruitment, mobilization, enrollment, and translations of many others. What is striking is that the respective meanings of subjectivity and objectivity are entirely reshuffled. Is a subject whatever is present, and is an object whatever was present. Online fatwas are not the property of human souls, but of the hybrid, provided it lasts, of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hassen Rabhi. Your presentation was extremely interesting and original as well, hybridity and digital religion. Now we have time for a discussion, if you have any questions to the audience, yes, Dr. Muhammad Kifa.
Thank you, Dr. Rabhi, and I would like to thank you for this enlightening presentation. Well, I don't really have a question, but it's a remark, and to enhance your findings. As a matter of fact, if we need to counterbalance this notion of hybridity at the level of bizarre fatwas, we need to look at the idea of fatwa itself and the institutions of fatawi as being themselves something hybrid. To clarify this, if we go back to the period of early Islam, there used to be almost no fatwas and no asking for fatawi. Because at that time, religion was something personal on the one hand, and something simple on the other hand. To solve this problem, we need to tackle the reasons that are presented by those working in the fatwa domain, especially the use of the Quranic verse, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, which is totally, the meaning of which is totally different from asking people for fatawas. أهل الذكر is something else, and لا تعلمون is not about the content of religion. And we should rather incline towards the hadith. I don't remember the hadith in its literal words. استفتي قلبك وإن أفتاك من أفتاك.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rifat. Dr. Hassen.
Thank you. I have 4 questions, one for each panel. I start with Dr. Meliti. So, decolonization has always been a very intricate process, and becomes even more complicated when it comes to decolonizing the mind. So, how can you view decolonizing the international mind and consciousness? My second question is to Dr. Muaz. While working on your presentation, which term you have felt comfortable with, blended or hybrid? They are used interchangeably, but I think they mean different things, at least as far as the process of learning is concerned. My third question, addressed to Dr. Mimoun. Do you think that hybridity in learning is a transitional stage toward a predominantly digital era in the process of education? And my last question is to Dr. Rabhi. How objective is the Arthurian reading of digital religion, as his study is putting focus only on cyber Islam? Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Najat, yes, Najat, please.
Okay, first of all, let me thank you for your all insightful and interesting papers and presentations. I have 2 questions indeed. The first one is for Dr. Medini and the second one to Dr. Melliti. As we know, that formative assessment or assessment for learning is an authentic assessment that enhances applying or elaborating critical skills or critical thinking skills. So when using these digital tools while practicing formative assessment or assessment for learning, can we reach or enhance these critical thinking skills, the HOTS referring to Bloom's taxonomy, creating, criticizing, commenting. So these digital tools are indeed and can allow us as teachers and students to reach these HOTS. My second question to Dr. Mimoun is, in fact, hybridization helped teachers and students in the pandemic period to reach and achieve our academic goals, and even after the COVID-19 year. But now, and it's gaining a crucial spread in our universities and our schools. But my question here, as a parent or as an instructor in the young learning context, is it highly recommended to adopt hybridization, taking into consideration the characteristics and the sensitive characteristics of young learners, hyperactivity, enthusiasm, getting easily bored, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, very interesting. Dr. Khamari, Dr. Hassan.
Okay, thank you all for your valuable presentation. I have questions or comments to Dr. Mimoun and Dr. Muaz. Because we talked about almost the same that hybrid learning, don't you think that's a gift from the sky, say, for low achievers, the students who suffer from anxiety, students who lack in normal education? So learning for them is learning on their pace. They can take time to prepare their presentation. I don't know how you make assessment and evaluation. Shouldn't we think also of, as teachers and practitioners, and even education policymakers, to integrate this sort of education even after COVID-19? Would it be beneficial? Okay. I mean, can hybridity be an integral part of teaching and learning processes? Another question is about technology. Did you face any difficulties in teaching as teachers and learning as learners? Are we ready for this shift towards going digital? You talked about Saudi Arabia. I think Saudi Arabia. Can we apply this in using context?
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Dr. Hassen?
Thank you for your presentations. In fact, I have a short reflection and question to Dr. Muaz Medini and Dr. mimoun. Yes, indeed, blended learning, distance learning, hybridized learning, personal or reverted classrooms have become a necessity rather than a luxury in the post-COVID era. Yes, you mentioned the positives of using the technology and the attitudes of the learners, but I would like that you answer this question. How would we account for technology illiteracy, technology apprehension, and technology, or that let me say, we are not digitalized. The fact that mimoun said that 90% or 93% have mobile phones. The fact that we have mobile phones is not a reflection of being digitalized. How do we account for digitalization? Because we may fall in the fact that of assessing the know-how of technology instead of assessing knowledge learning or memory learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdawi.
Thank you for all of you. I have a question for each one from the panel. I start with Dr. Rabhi. How far can this hybrid and digitalization of the religious fatwa can be considered as a support for the traditional religious institutions like Zaytun, Azhar, Vatican, the Eastern Orthodox Church, or is it a menace or a threat to these traditional central institutions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For question.
All right. Go ahead.
How can hybridity overcome the thoughtfulness, essentialist discourses dominant in South Africa during the period of transition and post-apartheid, especially in the light of the atrocities witnessed during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, which was photocopied here in Tunisia in 2011, which was a mock one, of course. How can hybridity be a constructive matrix to overcome all the violence and hatred inherent in the identities in South Africa? And the last question for both of you, Dr. Melliti and Dr. Medini. I'm asking about the prospects. What you are presenting is fine and convincing and enrolled in that course. What about the legislation? How to integrate and embed hybrid or digital learning as a substitute or consolidating program at university higher